Let's take a look at what happened today with Tesla. We closed at 326.40, up 31 cents. Post-market, we are up by 60 cents. So let's take a look at what we have on the chart. Are we bullish Tesla? Are we bearish Tesla? We are going to look at the chart. The chart distills everything. All the news, the FSDs coming, the tariffs, the stock chart is distilling all of these information and is giving us a result. And we focus on that result right here. We don't try to assess if this positive news will be impacting the stock positively, this negative news, the stock negatively, what's going to be the net effect of both types of news, the positive, the negative, is it going to have an impact, a positive impact, a negative impact? This is impossible to do. This is why we have analysts that have Tesla at $500 a share, others at $200 a share. This is a mess. We focus on the trends. That's it. That's all. This is a lot easier to focus on. Right now, we are into a downtrend. We have been into this downtrend since the end of May when Tesla was at $360. So that's a big number, $360. We made a congestion zone right here and we started to come back down within the congestion zone. So this is still okay because we are supposed to zigzag. This is still okay, but when we broke lower than 326, then that was the signal to get out for a while. Tesla dropped quite far down to 273.79. Then a couple of days later, it started to go back up. So it seemed like we really wanted to gain back that 326.34. And we just barely got it back today. Barely got it back by 4 cents. And basically, all of this kerfuffle was basically the feud between Elon and Trump. This is where it happened, and then things recovered quite quickly. So right now, we are still barely but still in the congestion zone right here. So the expected behavior is that we could be zigzagging between 326.34 and 360.65. This is the expected behavior. This is part of a larger bullish trend. This is the rate of ascent of that trend. We can extrapolate that if the trend stays the same, it's September, Tesla could be at $445. It could be as high as $489, as low as $395, but on average, if we stay pretty much right smack in the middle of that trend, then we are going to be at $445 by December. And if you want to sell puts, you sell them below this line right here. This is the bullish channel support. You sell your puts right here. You sell your covered calls right here, and you should be okay, and you can ride this puppy until then. Right now, shorter term, the stock market is complex because it always has to do with the time frame. What is your time frame? That's the big question. So from 360 to 273, this was a short time frame. So we are currently into a bearish trend. This is a bearish trend within a bullish trend, within a bigger, badder bullish trend right here, within a bigger, badder bullish trend right here. So yes, this is why some people say, I'm just going to buy and hold. That is fine if you don't want to put in too much work and you don't want to maximize return. Because buying and holding, you can experience huge swings. The stock price goes from $30 to $400, then goes back to $100. Yes, this is still the 3x right here, but this was a 10x, more than 10x. If you only want the 3x, you buy and hold. And if you want the 10x, then you need to look at some lines a little bit to try to understand what trend we are in. So this is exactly what we are doing on this channel. We are identifying the current trends. So right now we are still into a short-term downtrend. It started really at the end of May right here, and it could have continued. So this is why when a stock stops going higher and starts to do a congestion zone, this is why we advise on this channel to sell, because nobody knows how low the stock can go, and it could have gone down to 228. It could have gone down to that number, and it's a bad practice to say, oh no, it won't go that much down. Nobody knows about that. But as soon as we saw 273.79, the next day we started to go a little bit higher. We had that information at the time. This is a low, and now we are getting back higher from that low. But we try to get outside of this downward resistance. This is the downward resistance. We are still into this downward resistance. Yes, we are above the congestion zone. We are back in, but we are still into the downward trend. Let's be clear. Maybe we are going to get out tomorrow, but right now we are still in it. So a major move for Tesla is going to happen when we start breaking 360 right here. This is an important resistance. Before then, we could be going up to 350 and caving in again. That's clearly possible. So this whole region right here is just a big pause right here. The big move is going to come when we break that 360.65. Preferably, we need to break it in July to have a nice move from 360 to 450 or something like that. If we start breaking it sooner, then we could be stopped at 388. This is if the trend continues. This is what's happening on the daily chart. On the 1 hour chart, we have a lot more opportunity to make a little bit of money because we have a lot more candles and we see a lot more patterns forming. So this is the play-by-play right here on the 1 hour chart. This is what happened today. We gapped up a little bit, then stayed above 331. This is a bit more detailed information. So 331, we stayed above it on the 2nd hour, but then from the 3rd hour on, we started going down sideways and down furthermore. We stopped at 322.74. So we see the stock right here. We see it trying to break this downward resistance. It really tried for 5 hours, then it capitulated a little bit. So right now we don't see that much the effect of what is going to happen on June 22nd when Tesla is going to start with the full self-driving robo-taxi service. We don't see much of the effect because I think that what we had for the last couple of days was just a rebound back to where we were. So the rebound is done, but we are still into a downtrend. This is not yet the time to get back in. If you are not into Tesla, in my opinion, this is not the time to get back in because we could be continuing down to cave in from that resistance. We could be caving in again. This is what the downward channel tells us, is that it's supposed to go down. And so far, this is exactly what it is doing. It tried today to get outside, but it could not. So this is a confirmation that this downward resistance is real and it's really acting on the stock. Stochastic is not over 60, DMI is not positive, and also the last indicator at the bottom, Tesla is underperforming compared to SPY. We are at 47 and we need to be above 50 in order to outperform SPY. So this is not what is happening right here. On the 1 hour chart today, there was not much play. The 1 hour chart is still bullish. We pulled back a little bit, but we are still bullish. There was not much move that we could take on the 1 hour chart. Let's take a look at the rest of the market. VIX. So VIX climbing a little bit higher. We are up 0.29. When the VIX goes high, the stock market does not really like it and tends to go a little bit lower. We had a good day. We started the day lower with the VIX. Things were doing well. But for the past 3-4 hours, then the VIX started to go higher. This has impacted many stocks. If we take a look at our list right here, we see lots of red. And this VIX increase seems to be caused by this Middle East tension. So even though a day after officials from Washington and Beijing agreed on a framework to put the tariff truce back on track, President Donald Trump said the US deal with China was done. However, S&P 500 index erased modest gains after a US source said the US embassy in Iraq was preparing for evacuation due to heightened security risks in the region. A senior Iranian official said earlier that Iran will strike US bases in the region if nuclear negotiations fail and conflict arises with the United States. So uncertainty, this is too bad that this is happening because things were starting to go a little bit better. The 20-year bonds is still lower today. The 10-year bonds is still lower. Let's take a look at Dow Jones. So Dow Jones, yesterday we had a great day because we had a milestone. We broke above 42,822. We are still above that number. So not everything was lost with this little news that we had today, but we could have gone a little bit higher. So let's hope that things will calm down so that we can resume going higher. Dow Jones still has not erased the gains that it made yesterday. That's the good news. SPX, a little bit of a red day, but if you look at it carefully, we still made a higher high, we still made a higher low, so this is still going higher as a whole. Nasdaq, exactly the same thing, getting close to 22,122. We need to break that to have a further big move. Russell, we had the break above yesterday, and now we are just right back smack on it, 2149.1. Exactly, I cannot make this up. Exactly where our resistance and now support is. So a little bit of a down day. Let's hope that some other news tomorrow is going to push everything a little bit higher. Let's take a look at the heat map of the market. So yeah, look at this. Mainly red, black, very few green. Let's take a look at some Tesla news to see if the news are good, at least on that front. Elon Musk says Tesla's robotaxi service will tentatively kick off June 22nd in Austin. It will start with Model Y vehicles, so everybody that has a Model Y will be able to do robotaxi, so that's the good news, really. And yes, Tesla's robotaxi tests are freaking people out in Austin. People are not used to seeing those driverless cars. And we have Wells Fargo that is warning us Tesla faces 60% crash risk as Q2 deliveries fall short. This is because global deliveries in May were down about 23% year over year, with the quarter to date figure tracking 21% lower than the same period in 2024. And European performance stood out as the weakest, with deliveries in the region falling 42% from a year ago and down 37% year to date. North America also showed a year-over-year decline of 13% for the quarter so far. The sales are not really recovering, so maybe we are not going to get this push up that we really want. We are still into a downward channel. We are seeing on the stock chart the actual effect of everything that is happening. Is the taxi thing in Austin going to convince buyers more than sellers to get into Tesla? If so, we are going to see it by seeing Tesla get outside of its downward channel and continue into the bigger bullish channel. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you like what I do, you can become a YouTube member. Click on my TradingView affiliate link. I'm going to wish you a great evening. We are going to talk tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you à la prochaine.